Good evening. Two young boys aged just 15 and 12 have been chased and hacked to death.
We begin this half hour in Melbourne southeast, where police have arrested two teenagers following a string of armed robberies.
A black mark on the Allen government tonight, with youth crime rates the highest they've been since records began. Damning figures also reveal a record number of home invasions, driven by a hardcore group of repeat teen offenders.
And what's worse is you can't even defend your own house without getting in trouble. And what's even worse, if you're an ex-criminal, it's even worse. You can't defend your house even more.
All I have in this world is my laws, my word, and I don't break them for good.
Rightio legends, Chaos Chronicles, and we're back with another video. And so today we're going to be talking about this youth crime problem that is way out of control. So it's worse now than it ever has been. It just seems to be getting increasingly worse every single day. We've got people that are too scared to stay in their own houses, and it just seems like the government aren't doing anything about it. These young mongrels are just getting bail the same day that they're getting caught for doing these same offences, and it just seems to be getting out of control. But there's a group of young men in the southeast of Melbourne who have banded together and have tried to make a difference to this problem. And so I think this is really good what these gentlemen are doing. So let's take a look at this.
Tonight we're going on night patrol with a group of suburban dads who are so fed up with rising rates of crime, they've decided to take matters into their own hands.
They've formed their own security detail, driving around southeast Melbourne in the early hours of the morning in a bid to protect themselves and their families from near daily home invasions. Sam.
What legends of gentlemen they are.
Butler has this 10 News Plus exclusive.
Victoria's crime rates have soared to their highest level in almost 2 decades.
A lot of it is to do with the notoriety, trying to make themselves out as being special.
Family has been left traumatised after armed intruders broke into their homes.
Armed and looking for a way in. Two intruders stalk along a family home.
Police say in both cases the cars were stolen. The teens aged between 14 and 16.
Home invasions are at record levels.
Rocked up and they said, get out, get inside, lock your doors, stay safe. There's people out here that are invading people's homes.
It's 3 a.m. on the streets of Malvern in Melbourne's southeast.
People start together and we'll split up in an hour. Do a couple laps together and then split up? Yeah. Sounds good.
Like, I wonder what would be the legalities behind this, like knowingly going to look for crime to take place and you not being a police officer. I would imagine that you would, find yourself in some pretty big trouble if something happened, which is my only concern. Like, don't get me wrong, what an absolute bunch of legends for doing this. Just had enough and just decided to take a stand. But yeah, I just wonder if something happened, like they've really got nothing to cover them.
We're joining Tim and his mate Ferg on their morning patrol.
With the rate of the invasions going on in this direct area, it simply got to a point where there was so much crime going on that we felt that we wanted or needed to have eyes on the streets.
This is one of the city's most affluent areas, which also makes it a target. Opportunistic crooks, often armed, breaking into homes to steal luxury cars.
It's every week for sure, and it's just getting, I guess what's concerning, it's just getting more and more brazen.
And what's the thing is, people think that like a security camera is going to stop people from breaking into your house. People do not care about security cameras. They don't care about, lights and stuff like that. It's a whole new era of crime. And like they said, it's a notoriety thing as well. And like, it was a notoriety thing when I was younger, but we didn't go around like harming families, mothers, children, and all this to get the crime done. We never, ever, ever messed with anyone's home. And that was a rule that we did, that, you know, anyone that was not a part of our life was Bali. And by that, I mean, like, they were out of bounds, and that's how we all seen it. And so much has changed. It's just gotten so putrid now.
Sometimes it's happening in daylight hours as late as 6:30 or 7. And spotlights and CCTV cameras don't deter. There are some people that are really scared to the point where they don't want to be home alone at all.
That fear motivated these men to start surveilling the streets themselves. The group of suburban dads quickly grew to more than 24 volunteers who work in pairs on a rotating roster.
Yeah. We usually start with a nice coffee. That's pretty important part of the shift. And then we separate. We'll most of the time be in 2 different cars. As I said, we've just got a list of the streets of the members of the patrol, but we'll generally cover as many streets as we can in the general area. And we'll either just discreetly and slowly roll through the streets, just looking up and down footpaths and streets and whatnot, or, as Ferg mentioned, some people like to just park up at an intersection and turn the lights off and turn the car off. And
I would imagine too that, like, as putrid as these groups seem to be at the moment, that it would place these guys in some kind of, like, danger of reprisal. Like, say, for instance, if they intercepted someone that was doing a crime and those people got locked up, these people are going to have to go to court against them. It would place them in some kind of danger, you know. Once again, like, my hat goes off to these people for taking time out of their own time to do this for their local community. Like, what absolute legends. But yeah, I guess I just have, like, concerns.
just wait to see if they can see anything. We're not trained to do this. We don't really have any specific techniques or tactics. But when we do see any suspicious behaviour, and it does happen, we'll either report it and or do something to deter whoever it is to bugger off.
Their community WhatsApp message group is inundated with terrifying daily clips taken from home security video. It's happening so often, residents are arming themselves. Some have even hired private security to...
And this is exactly why they don't care about cameras and they don't care about floodlights and all that bullshit, because they're all wearing balaclavas, hoodies, their faces are covered. They literally do not care. They don't care. They don't even care if they get caught. This is the thing. They don't care if they get caught because they know, under our special government privileges, that these little mongrels get bailed the same day they get caught.
Keep watch at night.
Every 4th or 5th house has had the experience of someone trying to get in. And that alone, to have 3 or 4 crooks come up to your front door in the middle of the night when your family's asleep, even though that might seem pretty sort of like a somewhat of a non-event, I think that's what's playing on people's minds. For those people who've had that happen, or they've had their next door neighbour, and sadly that's almost everyone in the area. What gets reported or what gets noticed is the tip of the iceberg. I would suggest that there's a lot of scenarios where there's invasions or there's people trying to get in and don't get in, and the people at home don't actually ever realise that happened.
For you guys to be getting up in the middle of the night, rolling out, you know, you've got families at home, you then go and work a full-time job, like that's pretty extreme. What does that say about the state of things, that this is kind of what you feel like you have to do?
Yeah, we don't want to be doing this. We're probably putting ourselves at danger and getting up at 2:30 in the morning. It's not something we're proud of doing. It's not something we want to be doing, and it's not something that's sustainable. But I guess until something changes, whether there's more police presence or the private security guards are more active than they are, or the crime for whatever reason settles down, we just feel that the right thing to do is to have eyes on the street.
Many of the volunteers...
You know what? And this is what's sad about the whole situation. It's because, and these guys are working day jobs and then going and taking rotation shifts on patrolling their own streets, because we just don't have the police taking the notice that they should. Like on a surface level on the news, it looks like, oh yeah, we're tackling the bail laws and we're doing this and we're doing that. But like, really, what's changed? Not one thing has changed. These little mongrels, as I've been saying, are still getting out there, going through all these houses, and people don't even have the right to protect their own houses under our laws. When is this Newcastle law coming out that all these like government people are talking about bringing out this castle law? This is something that needs to be out 12 months ago, and it just seems to be getting dragged out so politicians can use it as voting points, and all the bullshit that they talk about never happens anyway. But let me know what you think in the comments, guys. What's it like in your suburbs? Is it exactly the same as this in your suburbs? And should more people start making communities like this where this kind of thing happens and start looking after their own community again? What do you think? What is your community like, and should more of this kind of thing happen?
Tears are victims themselves, including Chris, who's a father of 2 young boys. Just weeks ago, he was woken by 2 would-be intruders trying to force their way into his home.
I ended up yelling at them, "Oi!" Spooked them. They got back into their car and then fortunately drove off towards High Street here. But then they turned around and then they sped up, would have been 80 k's an hour, really, really fast. And they were driving so fast they actually veered towards me. And that was terrifying, so I thought they were going to hit me. Fortunately, the police were really good the next morning, but they're just fed up having to deal with this every day. They catch these people and then they get released like a day later.
You only have to look at Victoria's crime data to get an idea of what police are up against. The overall rate of crime...
The police have the first power on whether or not you get bail. So every single person who gets arrested, it's the police's choice or not whether you get bail. So the police will either say, we think you should get bail, or we don't think you should get bail. And then what they will do is they will get a bail justice in, and that bail justice will hear your case and see whether or not you've got a case at getting bail or not. So the police can say that they're fed up with it all they want. But, if you're releasing them back into the public, I think that, you got to start pointing the finger back at yourself, ladies and gentlemen.
Across the state,
police, that
has
is.
soared to its highest level in almost 2 decades. Burglaries jumped by 25% in 12 months. Theft reached a record high of more than 240,000 offences, driven by a 47% increase in stolen cars. The Police Association says the force is overworked and under-resourced, and at a time when youth crime is at an all-time high, the Allen government has been accused of stripping millions of dollars in funding from youth crime prevention programs.
Personally, a bit disappointed with how the state's been handling it. Like, they've got these machete bins outside a police station. How many are you expecting to actually receive? What I'd love to see more is more police. We've got a police station up the road. It's closed during the night time. But I'd love...
And that's another funny thing as well. Like, putting a machete bin right out the front of a police station, like, there's not going to be many young crooks out there that are going to go want to put themselves on show like that. So the police know it's right at the front door. They're going to be able to see everything that's happening. And how the hell does that bin that just looks like a bloody St. Vincent's de Paul bin cost $360,000? How much does how does it cost more for one of those than it does for a fire truck? That just does not make any sense. Make sense.
To see, the magistrates being able to put these people back behind bars where they should be.
These men aren't vigilantes. They're fathers and husbands who go to bed at night fearing for the safety of their families. They know patrolling the streets won't solve Victoria's crime crisis, but in a situation where so many people feel powerless, it helps to give them peace of mind.
You only do a few hours at a time. It doesn't sound like much, but the days are actually really hard, really long going to work after that.
But they say they'll keep getting up before the crack of dawn until efforts to drive down crime start working.
We hope something does change, because it's not sustainable for anyone for us to be doing this. But in the meantime, with how much crime's going down at night time, we're happy to have one or two of us out there.
What do you think, guys? I reckon it's a good idea. I guess I'm just a little bit worried for these guys if something happens. Like, what kind of cover do they have? But if it's driving down the crime in their neighbourhood, well, good on them. Like, to me, this is just the saddest situation ever, and I think, when it's gotten to a place where people are too scared to stay in their own homes, that it's just way beyond something needing to be done here. And what's worse is, like, to hear that the police feel like, they're over inundated with work, and obviously they would be, but, like, stop letting these people out. You're the first point of call to say whether you think or not these people should get bail. Obviously, if they're repeat offenders like they are and doing putrid crimes like ransacking old people's homes and women's homes and stuff like that, then these people shouldn't be getting bails. But what's worse is if a group of 5 people come into your house and pull knives on you or whatever, like, the way that the law is at the moment. So say, for instance, if someone came into my house being a serious violent offender, and if 5 teens come into my house, and if I attack them and say, hurt one of them, I can promise you that I would not do 1 day under 10 years prison for that. So what are we supposed to do? I haven't been involved in that life for 5 years now. So, I'd say that's a pretty long time to be out of that life. And I consider myself not a criminal. Everyone else around me considers myself not a criminal, but it's the police that still think, because I used to be in that gang life, that prison life, that it's always going to be like that. And it's just like, I'm telling you, like, it's scary to think that if a group of little mongrels come to my house, I promise you at least one of them is not going home. And I say that wholeheartedly, unapologetically, because, like, it's just an absolute joke when hardworking men like this have to patrol their own streets, because it just seems like the police have had just enough, and they don't want to deal with it anymore. But, like, if you don't want to deal with it, don't become a police officer. Isn't that what policing is all about? Like, recorrecting the situation, telling these teens what's right from what's wrong. But I don't know. It just seems like it doesn't make sense to me that hundreds upon hundreds of houses across Melbourne and Victoria get robbed and burgled, and people get beaten and bashed and their stuff stolen every single day, and nothing gets done about it. Yet we've got Desi's out there friggin' running around like Tarzan, and we've got friggin' 500 or 600 people out there looking for him, still running around in circles, scratching their ass going, where's Desi? Where's Desi? We've been searching this same spot for a month and we can't find Desi. Like, it just doesn't make sense. They put all resources and stuff into the wrong area. And I'd like to know what you guys think on this, because, like, it's just gotten to an absolute joke. And yeah, I'd like to know, A, what's the crime like in your area where you are from? And do you think that more people should band together like this, like an old school Australian community, and try and tackle the problem themselves? I want to know what you guys think, because it's obviously getting out of control, and this castle law can't come any quick enough if you ask me. But yeah, there you go, guys. The teen crime problem is just more and more. It's like every single day you turn the news on, it's either Desi or teen crime. And that's like the two options that you've got. And it kind of like varies up and down: robberies, armed robberies, killings. But, like, they're the two things that are the main things on the news right now. And yeah, I feel like a lot of $1 million a day, if they put $1 million a day, what they've been putting into this Desi situation, onto this teen crime problem, I reckon that, like, there would be a dent in that for sure. At least if you're not spending $360,000 on a supercharged St. Vincent's de Paul bin, like, what is that going to do, in all honesty? Let's be serious. There's never ever any. I seen in one of YouTubers' videos that they're just empty, and like I know myself, like we went and had a look myself, and they're just empty. And this is when they first came out, but still, like, they're propped right out the front of a police station. So the teenagers aren't going to want to go and put themselves on show like that. But yeah, let me know what you guys think. This is just absolutely out of control, and it just seems, like I said, it's either Desi or teen crime, and they're both problems. And yeah, let me know what you guys think in the comment section. But if you guys haven't already subscribed, please take this time, jump down there, shoot me a subscription. That'd be absolutely appreciated. And if you smash that bell icon, you'll never miss any of my clips again. I have been the Chaos Chronicles. You guys have been absolutely awesome. Don't do drugs and crime, and you won't end up in prison.